Rao and family of Dr. NGP Rao, distinguished directors from different institutes, colleagues from CG centers and international organizations, Dr. Dubey, CEO from Adventa, and also very important persons, Dr. NGP Rao Memorial Lecture, this awardee in Sorghum, Dr. Anwar Singh Rana, in Millet, Dr. Ananda Sitarama, Pearl Millet, Dr. Kedarnath Rai. And also I can see here our guest of this program, many directors of different institutes and old colleagues and family and friends. First of all, I would like to welcome you all at this very important occasion of the celebration of the lifetime achievements of none other than Dr. NGP Rao. And besides that, I would say that today is a very important occasion for all of us because we are celebrating Teachers' Day throughout the country. And the teachers like Dr. NGP Rao and Dr. R.S. Paroda, who has been mentor for many scientists of this generation and who has been working very hard to inculcate the habit of scientific temper in the new generation of science. I could see from the profile of Dr. NGP Rao that he has spent more than 18 years at IARI, Indian Agriculture Research Institute, New Delhi from 1961 to 78. And it's really a very rare occasion to see that agricultural scientists receiving Santi Swarup Bhatnagar Prize in Biological Sciences, the most distinguished award. And when I saw his profile, it reminded me that working at IARI New Delhi itself is a great honor and great responsibility when you work at an institute like IARI, IAMR, or ICRISAT. So being a teacher at Indian Agriculture Research Institute, I have been associated with all throughout my career for more than 20 years at IARI, as teacher in agriculture biotechnology. And I would like to remember all my teachers at this very auspicious occasion and pay my tribute to all of them, those who have given us a different way of thinking and a different way of looking around, which is distinct from the general population. Scientists are born to work differently. Scientists are always teachers as well as students. We always try to pass our knowledge to the new generation, and we try to learn from our superior, our mentors like R.S. Paroda and the quality of Professor NGP Rao. This is a very important occasion, and I would like to congratulate Dr. Tonapi and the Society for Millet Research for constituting, and also for NGP Rao Foundation and the trustee NGP Rao Foundation for constituting this very important NGP Rao Memorial Lifetime Achievement Award under the aegis of Society for Millet Research, for which he has been, I think, the founder president. Not only that, his contributions in the area of sorghum research, which have been elaborated by my colleague Dr. Jacqueline. I think the way we think how crops are developed, varieties are bred, Dr. NGP Rao was thinking way back in 1964, at least I was not born at that time, when he developed first hybrid in sorghum. So one can imagine the foresightedness of these individuals who has given their life to the science and to the society, and his hybrids and varieties, and also genetic material which he has developed in case of sorghum. And not only that, the trained human resource which he has developed is now taking the lead from his work and serving the society in more effective manner. So I am really very happy to be part of this particular celebration, and thank you, Dr. Tonapi, for inviting me. And I would like to reserve my other comments for at the end of this particular sessions. So thank you very much and welcome you all again for this very important celebrations. Back to Dr. Tonapi.
Sir, thank you very much, sir. Now, before we look into the profile of Dr. NGP Rao, we have a small video, Guru Vandana. Basically, today it is his birthday. So we thought it will be a great occasion to pay our tributes to a great teacher to whom we have all imbibed the best of the things what we can do in crop improvement research. Dr. Ilangovan. Ilan, sound is not there.
It is not coming, Ilan.
Ilangovan.
Just pause it. Replay it. I think your audio is muted in your system. Please.
Gurur Brahma, Gurur Vishnu, Gurur Brahma, Gurur Vishnu, Gurur Deva Maheshwara, Gurur Deva Maheshwara, Guru Sakshat Parabrahma, Guru Sakshat Parabrahma, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha, Gurur Brahma, Gurur Vishnu, Gurur Brahma, Gurur Vishnu, Guru Deva Maheshwara, Guru Deva Maheshwara, Guru Sakshat Parabrahma, Guru Sakshat Parabrahma, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha.
Yeah, thank you, Ilangovan. Now I would like to briefly go through the profile and the contributions which we need to remember today. A great personality from whom we learned so much. The contributions of Dr. NGP Rao are the worthy aspects that we need to be remembering forever. About Dr. NGP Rao, we would like to say, born in 1927, has been acclaimed as the father of hybrid sorghum for leading the green revolution in sorghum in rain-fed semi-arid regions of India. Dr. Rao had his BSc Agriculture degree in 1949 from Agriculture College, Bapatla, with second rank, and postgraduate associate program in botany at Indian Agricultural Research Institute, New Delhi in 1953, with first rank and gold medal. He received his PhD in 1968 from Bihar University. He served as research assistant at Department of Agriculture, Hyderabad between 1950 to 58 and as a lecturer in agricultural botany at Osmania University in Hyderabad 58 to 60 before moving to IRI in 1961 where he worked till 1978. He served as Sorghum botanist there and also associate coordinator and project coordinator of All India Coordinated Sorghum Improvement Project. As national coordinator of All India Coordinated Sorghum Improvement Project, he led the visionary research that transformed traditional risk-prone subsistence sorghums in India to significantly higher productive and stable hybrids and varieties. The first commercial sorghum hybrid CSH1, which was released in 1964, along with other pearl millet hybrids, created the seed industry in India. The shortest ever commercial hybrids were built in the plant breeding history. The average yields of the rain-fed hybrids could be stabilized at about 2 to 2.5 tons per hectare against a national average of 400 to 500 kgs for the local varieties. The maximum yields up to 7 tons could be realized under optimum conditions. Between 65 to 78, 9 commercial sorghum hybrids, CSH1 to CSH9, and 8 high-yielding varieties, CSV1 to CSV8R, were released for cultivations which created profound impacts in the dryland areas in the states of Maharashtra, Karnataka, Telangana, Tamil Nadu, Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh, Uttar Pradesh, covering an area between 8 to 10 million hectares. In 78, Dr. Rao was selected as ICAR Professor of Eminence and served at IRI Regional Station, Hyderabad, up to 80. Later, from between 80 to 83, he served as regional sorghum breeder for West Africa in ICAR at Samaru, Zaria, Nigeria. During 1984 to 87, Dr. Rao also shouldered the responsibility as Vice Chancellor of Marathwada Agriculture University, Parmani. And between 87 to 92, he was the chairman of Agricultural Scientists Recruitment Board, Indian Council of Agriculture Research. Dr. Rao was confirmed with many awards and titles in the course of his distinguished career. These included the prestigious national awards, CSIR Shanti Swarup Bhatnagar Prize for Biological Sciences in 64, and ICAR Rafi Ahmad Kidwai Prize for Plant Breeding in 1974-75. As a Distinguished Scientist Award of Andhra Pradesh government in 2003 and 2008, Farmer Organization Awards, National Club of Farmers Award, Krishik Samaj Awards, Industry Award, Vasvik Award, Aisman Award, and awards by scientific societies and academies and universities. He served as President of Indian Society of Genetics and Plant Breeding in 81 and 82, and he was founder president of Society for Millets Research in 2004. In fact, he was the pioneer in transferring the erstwhile Sorghum Society money, which was the seed money that created the creation of Society for Millets Research. He was also elected to the fellow of 3 national science academies, INSA, NAS, and National Academy of Agricultural Sciences. So this is in short of a great contribution which we are all remembering today. So this is our tribute to a great teacher, a great researcher, a great scientist, Dr. NGP Rao. So thank you very much, sir. Now we will go. We are at IIMR and Indian Council of Agriculture Research. We are very proud to dedicate our crop work facility area, which is newly constructed, which houses the crop improvement activities of all the breeders in sorghum, pearl millet, and small millets, and also houses the facilities of cold storage to carry forward their advancing generations, which we built it at a cost of about 3.5 crores, was recently inaugurated by Honorable Union Minister of Agriculture very recently. This building we are dedicating today as NGP Rao Crop Improvement Facility at Indian Institute of Millets Research, Indian Council of Agriculture Research. Dr. Ilangon, you can. Yeah, so thank you very much. So before we go to the next this thing, now we have an important occasion to listen to our very honorable Dr. Raj Paroda ji, Dr. Padma Bhushan Dr. Raj Paroda ji, who in fact, when we discussed, he selected the topic future of sorghum and millets. So, sir, we would like to listen from you the first ever NGP Rao Memorial Lecture from you today, sir. We are all very eager to listen to you. So, Dr. Raj Paroda, sir.
Before that introduction.
Yeah, so Dr. Ilangon will introduce Dr. Raj Paroda, sir.
It's my great privilege to introduce the world's renowned agriculture scientist, Dr. Raj Paroda, sir. Dr. Raj Paroda, former Director General, Indian Council of Agriculture Research, ICAR, and Secretary There, Government of India, holds a unique perspective as an accomplished scientist, able research administrator, and development practitioner. He is well known for modernization and strengthening of the national agricultural research system in India as well as in many countries. Government of India has recognized his contributions to the advancement of agriculture by bestowing on him the prestigious National Padma Bhushan Award. He is the recipient of several awards and recognitions: Rafiq Ahmad Kitwai Prize, ICAR Team Research Award, FICCI Award, Om Prakash Washing Award, BT Pond Gold Medal, Borlap Award, Mahendra Silvermani Award, Dr. A.B. Joshi Award, and US Avasti IPCO Award, etc. Dr. Raj Paroda has been the founder chairman of Global Forum on Agricultural Research based at FAO, Rome. He also served as president of the Indian Science Congress and president of the National Academy of Agricultural Sciences. 19 universities have awarded him DSc honoris causa degree, including Ohio State University and Indian Agricultural Research Institute. He is the fellow of all science academies in India, Third World Academy of Sciences, Russian Academy of Agricultural Sciences, and honorary member of American Society of Crop Science and American Society of Agronomy. He also served for more than 2 decades as Executive Secretary of Asia Pacific Association of Agricultural Research Institutions, APARI, FAO, Bangkok. Recently, Dr. Raj Paroda worked as Chairman Farmers Commission of Haryana. He had also served on ACIR, CAPA, and WMO advisory committees, Chairman of Board of Trustees of ICAR, and member of Finance Committee of CGIAR. He is a member of CGIAR, CIMET, and Board Director of International Fertilizer Development Center, IFDC. Currently, Dr. Raj Paroda is the founder chairman of the Trust for Advancement of Agricultural Sciences, TAAS, New Delhi. Sir, the whole Millets family from ICAR, IAMR, ICAR, AACRP on Sorghum, on millet and small millets, and other sister ICAR institutes, including scientists, technical, administrative staff, researchers, and students are eagerly waiting to listen to you on the lecture on future of sorghum and millets. Request you to deliver the lecture. The floor is yours, sir. Thank you.
Am I visible also?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Good morning. Yeah,
Is it?
you can see you.
Okay, good morning. Thank you very much for very
Please go to the slide
generous
view, sir.
introduction. It's a great pleasure to be with you all today on Dr. NGP Rao Memorial Lecture. Dr. Jacqueline Hughes, Dr. T.A.A.S. Sharma, Dr. Vilas Tonapi, Mrs. Rao, and Dr. Rao's family members, I see some old colleagues and friends also attending, more than 250 by now. Ladies and gentlemen, it's indeed a great privilege for me to speak to you today uh, on this occasion, which coincides with 93rd birthday celebration of Dr. NGP Rao, and as was also mentioned, today being the Teachers' Day. The topic about which Dr. Turnapi mentioned, uh, I thought that it's high time that we start looking at future of sorghum and millets. Sorghum is also broadly now considered among millets. And when we talk of future, future could be two sides of the coin. One could be very bright and the other could be very bleak. We would like to see whether we have bright future for sorghum and millets. And that's what is the subject of today's deliberation that I thought would possibly interest you. I'd like to briefly also mention, much has already been said about his contributions, but he has been a distinguished plant breeder par excellence, considered not only India but abroad as father of hybrid, had served various positions, including the highest, that is of chairman, Agriculture Scientist Recruitment Board, and a unique distinction of receiving two prestigious awards, one of ICAR, Rafi Ahmed Kidwai, and the other of CSIR, Dr. S.S. Bhatnagar. Of course, he had mentored again great scientists like Dr. Vidya Bhushnam and Dr. B.S. Rana, today who is going to receive also recognition for his great achievements working with him. Now, when we look at Dr. Rao's contributions, I think the entire scenario changed after his exposure for 1 year in Nebraska, where he could see the potential of dwarf hybrids and brought with him the material when he returned and started work on dwarf sorghum hybrids. Is it internet problem? Are you able to hear me?
We are able to hear you, sir.
Okay. Okay, because some signal came and I thought, so starting with CSH1, he came out with many hybrids and his CSH9 is still covering around 12 to 15% area. And the process enabled Indian seed sector to grow very fast. In this context, I would also like to briefly take time to tell my own association with NGP Rao. He has actually been a well-wisher, even a mentor, and I would say had been encouraging me all through. Since I had joined at that time as a young scientist after coming from UK, doing my postdoctorate as forage breeder at HAU Hisar, he especially assigned me the responsibility to initiate in his coordinated program a network on forage sorghum evaluation. Having received this kind of recognition being young, I thought it was a great learning experience. And no doubt in the process, one of my varieties was also released, which is first multi-cut forage sorghum variety at the national level and is still used as a parent for breeding programs. He encouraged me to write a book on forage sorghum. And let me also tell you, my work through team, I got team research award for sorghum forage program. Having said this, let us start looking at the era of green revolution. I'm not going to tell you what we achieved, starting from period of scarcity to that of self-sufficiency, having more than 70 million tons of buffer in our stocks today. But in the process, certainly two important messages emerged. After the Green Revolution, which we have been experiencing for more than 5 decades, the drylands have been bypassed somehow. Most of the achievements we got in irrigated areas. And the other aspect was that the first green revolution which we witnessed was for food security. But now what we need is household nutrition security, because more than 40% of our children below 5 years of age are malnourished. Therefore, when we look at now, there are concerns also expressed by economic officials, like green revolution possibly had been an exploitative approach, utilizing more of natural resources, and their degradation in turn took place, and also it remained confined to irrigated areas with more use of inputs, and which later on led to the factor productivity decline. In the process also, greater emphasis than by the society was on rice, wheat, and maize as food crops. And the preference for diversification, which was earlier, somehow got minimized. And the casualty was to grow more of these crops, more commercial crops like cotton, even soybean, and rice, wheat, and maize, so on, leading to decline in the area of sorghum and millets, almost to an extent of 15 to 20 million hectare. Now, we have to see this, that despite all this, the area under Rabi sorghum has remained reasonably constant in Maharashtra and Karnataka, and same way area in the most dry part of Rajasthan, which is called A1 zone, has also been reasonably stable over the decades, which means these are the crops which found their niche in most rain-fed environment. And that was possible maybe because of the efforts made by Rao and then later on by private sector for greater spread of hybrid technology. Lately, for the last 2 years during COVID-19 pandemic, some important messages have surfaced, and that is that COVID has drawn global attention towards food, nutrition, and environmental security. We need to take care of our natural resources. We need to also make sure that the food is nutritious, and food is not only nutritious but good for health and immunity. At the same time, it has been recognized that more than 150 million people have gone below poverty line, and food may possibly be a major challenge in future to be met to many countries because of lack of its availability or lack of its transportation to those countries where it is not produced. So emphasis came that it should be produced where it is needed, and emphasis also came on local food systems. And UN Food System Summit is now being convened in November, which is going to have a decade of action plan for safe, accessible, sustainable, and equitable food systems. Therefore, now the nutritional aspect has come up front. Now for SDGs, also for zero hunger, we need to make sure that there is enough of good nutrition available for our people, and there is no protein malnourishment. Why millets are called nutri-grains? They were called as coarse grains before, but eventually the realization has come over the years that we were mistaken by calling them coarse grain. They have all the nutritional qualities: high fiber, gluten, fat, cholesterol, and anti-diabetic phytochemicals, vitamins, minerals, and so on. So when we compare them with the so-called glamorous food of rice, wheat, and maize, they are in no way less. And rather, in many aspects, they are much better and being used now more than what they used to be used before. Because I come from Bajra growing region of Rajasthan. People had moved to eating wheat and rice, but now eventually they are shifting back to use of palm millet in their food. So, as I mentioned before, we need a second green revolution. We need a second green revolution to address those issues which first green revolution could not. That means to provide nutrition security and to make gray areas green, which means take care of the dry lands, which are still around 48%. And this is possible through a twin pillar approach around genetic enhancement and approach around natural resource management. In that context, we would like to now go in scaling hybrid technology, use of, I would call it genome editing, genomic research, etc., or for that matter, conservation agriculture in dryland areas. Globally, conservation agriculture has succeeded, whether in Latin America, USA, Canada, Australia, Turkey, and other parts of the world in the dryland areas. But in India, again, conservation agriculture somehow remain confined to irrigated system of rice wheat in Indo-Gangetic plains. So we need to really look at these opportunities and options afresh. Looking at a global scenario, when we look at, we find that Africa and Asia are the niche for millets particularly. And in Asia, India has 80% of the production of different millets, whereas we contribute about 20% of the global scenario. And average productivity, thanks to the research and efforts of people like Dr. NGP Rao and others, even Dr. D.S. Atwal, coming out with first pearl millet hybrid at the global level, increase the productivity, which is comparable to that of the global average, whereas this is not the case in Africa. Looking at then the comparison with other countries in terms of we stand, we would see that we are first in millet and we are first in many others, except we are sixth in sorghum. So that shows that again, minor millets are also grown mostly in India and around in Southeast Asia, from where China and Southeast Asia from they originated, but they have been relegated to a second or tertiary position. And thanks to the efforts of our farmers, our leaders, that millets are still being considered important in our daily diet. Let me cite an example. Dr. Borlaug used to come frequently to visit during the late Green Revolution period to see the scenario of agricultural research. And every time when he used to come, we would organize his meeting with the Prime Minister. So once a meeting was organized with the Prime Minister, Mr. Dev Gowda, and he said, why not you bring him for lunch? So I took him to his house, PM house, and we had lunch there. And we were served all other Indian dishes, but in his plate, we found only finger millet balls and with curry. And he was eating with hand. So Borlaug was quite curious. He said, what are you eating? Much different than what is being served to us. He said, this is food for poor people. And this is the food which you can't eat. You will have to eat it by hand. You can't eat it by your spoon. So That's the kind of, pride people had for having the consumption of finger millet, or what we call ragi and so on. When we look at the area-wise, millets are occupying about 48%. Sorghum has relegated. It was one earlier to second position, around 38%, and finger millet 7.8%, and rest are very minor in their importance. So we have to think of these three crops to give a high priority. No doubt all would require attention, and sometimes it is also argued that some of these minor millets may possibly be extinct if not taken care of. So that is another part which has to be looked into. In the process, as I told you before, decreased by almost 20 million hectares since 1950. If you compare to today's time, but what has happened in the process, that productivity is still increased by 2.5 times, which means thanks to research, thanks to genetic enhancement and work of our breeders and geneticists and now biochemists, that we have been able to spare the land for other crops without compromising on production and productivity of the millets. So area decline has been compensated by productivity gain, and we see that this is possible, or this could be possible, because of the use of hybrid seed to a greater extent. And one point was to recognize, we used to be told before, whether it is in case of maize or in sorghum, that for Indian farmers, varieties are the best option. But I think we were mistaken. And then we started with single cross maize hybrids in 1987, 88, when I was Deputy Director General Crops, as a special hybrid program. We came out with hybrid rice, we came out with single cross maize hybrid by 2000. And in 1 decade time, in maize, we could double our maize production just by hybrid technology. And private sector also came in, earlier not interested, but then when we saw that they need intellectual property, so we brought in Farmers Breeders' Right and Farmers' Right Act, what we call is PVPFRA, and under that now what we see is a great coverage of area, mainly in millets, by the private sector. As you see, hardly 10% is under HHB 67. This HHB 67 was also a hybrid that was released when I was chairing the variety release committee. It was in fact recommended to be rejected by the expert panel on one ground, that it had high downy mildew incidence in the apophytic conditions at Patancheru. I still recollect that. But then I said, in the dryland areas where it is grown, that kind of incidence in downy mildew has never been noticed. So we took a conscious decision of releasing it mainly for Rajasthan, rather northwestern belt, and for last almost 25 years, I would say it is the 30 years, the variety or the hybrid is still predominant and could not be replaced by any other early hybrid than what we have in HHB 67. Similarly, when you look at the grain sorghum side, again, I would say, because of the strong public seed sector which got built, due to availability of the hybrids from public sector through efforts of Dr. NGP Rao, that you still have about 40 to 45% area covered. No doubt, all international and national seed companies are working hard to see that their hybrids get more coverage, but they have not yet been able to. So what you need is a strong hybrid seed production program, both in the public and private sector. And also you have to see that research is utilized further, both in the public institution and the private organization. Now, when we look at, we, we started in that special hybrid program to come out with hybrids for Rabi sorghum, because in Rabi, none could earlier replace Maldandi variety, which is predominantly grown and popular because of its drought hardiness, like C 305, 306 in case of wheat. Similarly, in case of Rabi sorghum, it is Maldandi 35-1. And unfortunately, both are poor combiners, but have again the cytoplasm where you have male sterility. Did try to also exploit, and later Dr. Vidya Bhushnam and Rana did the cytoplasm of Maldandi as well. But mainly we have been depending earlier on Milo. So the hybrids were released like 13R and 39R is there. They seem to be high yielding, but still area coverage is very, very negligible because the preference for the Rabi sorghum is only for Maldandi. So this is a challenge which has to be accepted for future research. When we look at the coverage of hybrids, the seed sector needs to play a major role to see that more area is covered under hybrids. Hybrids do have resilience. When we came out with one review book along with Dr. V.L. Chopra on the breeding for drought tolerance, it was evident that hybrids were performing much better under rain-fed conditions and had better resilience. And that's what perhaps is the reason, whether it is cotton, sorghum, sunflower, even crops like pulse millet, they have been all under rain-fed conditions. Even maize had been under mostly rain-fed conditions before. So other point is that with regard to seed, something has to be taken as a policy decision to stop this tender business for procuring hybrid seed in states of particularly Haryana and Rajasthan, which is very unfortunate and must be discouraged as a policy intervention. And we need to build a strong public-private partnership and maybe come out with some innovative ways of this partnership, like exclusive licensing and access and benefit sharing, in which win-win is for both public and private institutions. Having talked all about these, now what is the way forward? For way forward, I always believe that you must think globally, but you have to act locally. If you don't act locally, there's no point of thinking globally. But to act locally, you must have best possible knowledge on which you can then rely to move forward and decide your future roadmap. In that context, there are action points. We have to increase production productivity. Nutrition, I have talked. We have to now go in for value addition to link farmers to market if we have to succeed with millets in future. We have to therefore bring entrepreneurship among youth including women, and have startup farmer producer organization. And we have to think of new ways of branding, laying intellectual property and sale and marketing for higher income. And definitely, like in Green Revolution, we capitalize on the partnership with Simit and Erie for wheats and rices, which were miracle seeds. We have to also have similar partnership strengthened. There is a partnership, but I think time has come. I will talk about it in my last part, that institutions like ICAR or advanced research institutions abroad where there are opportunities of to new materials and new knowledge, and the policy support for MSP is there, but it has to be linked to procurement, as it is in case of wheat and rice. If we have to succeed and make future success of millets, and there have to be incentive for environmental services. So action is needed on greater use of genetic resources, improving productivity and nutritional quality, higher coverage under hybrids. I think still, even in case of sorghum and pearl millet, you go to even the desert part of Badmer or Jaisalmer or Jodhpur, farmer would say, I need only थैली शंकर जाति की बाजरे की थैली मुझे चाहिए, which means only I need the seeds of hybrids of pearl millet, not the varieties which we have been otherwise propagating and advocating to them. Emphasis on conservation agriculture I have talked, and promotion with regard to value chain. Okay. Now coming to germplasm, we have to have a serious look. We have the best collections in India in terms of what we could have in terms of its availability and variability. It is around 58,000 now in our National Gene Bank. And when you look at the ICAR Gene Bank, you have 77,000, which means about 20,000 more than what we have in our National Gene Bank. But how many are duplicates in them? How many are new ones from different sources? And which one are good for which state? And therefore, joint evaluation, cataloging, and documentation becomes very important. This part we had initiated one time with the CRISAT, multi locations, and probably time is ripe that NBPGR, the National Millet Institute, coordinated programs, and ICRISAT come together and use the locations at various state agricultural universities and evaluate these traits for not normal traits, but very specific traits which make difference whether biotic, abiotic stresses or for nutritional quality improvement. At respect, you look at PPGR website, there is an app for all crops and for all millets, different millets, what have been covered from which area and which areas have yet not been explored. So maybe it would be need still to have a look whether we need to collect more or whether all areas have been covered, and what we can get from outside and what we can give to the rest of the world. They say that, you know, the revolution in digital technology made global as one village. Earlier, we had genetic resources for free exchange, and they were considered common heritage of human being. No more that scenario exists. And what can be done to have still a win-win on both sides? We'll have to look at through the new material transfer agreement, which has been approved by the TT of FAO and also by the ICAR and Ministry of Agriculture. We also need to see that unique germplasm lines are registered. This registration was started in 1996 and 25 years have gone. These figures I got from Dr. Veena Gupta, and I rather feel concerned that in 25 years only 100 germplasm unique lines have been registered. It means breeders may be having many unique materials with them, but have not been encouraged to register them and put them in the public domain in terms of intellectual property for future. We had first International Biodiversity Congress organized in 1996, came out with Delhi Declaration. on agrobiodiversity management, and the message was very clear that we need greater emphasis not only conserving the genetic resources as a black box, but using them for the sustainable development. And in that respect, it was also emphasized that we need to use more of wild relatives and land races in our genetic program. And we have to accelerate also our plant breeding program. FAO had come out recently with a study stating that globally the initiatives on plant breeding have declined. Even in India, if we look at critically, and Dr. TAAS Sharma may possibly have a review of it, that invariably use of germplasm has declined. How can we accelerate it and use that germplasm which makes a difference in terms of improvement in quality or in improvement for their resilience to climate stresses? In the breeding strategy also, we have to look differently, not depend on conventional breeding or pre-breeding material on which our scientists have been depending greatly in the past, and rather it has led to complacency. Now with this 1 kg as well as with ICAR, there is constraint of producing more pre-breeding material because of lack of resources for core funding. And systems seem to be also become more reliant on international centers for their breeding program. This has to be changed. We have to also take advantage of research, which is offering a lot of opportunities to go for marker-assisted selections, and also take advantage of genome editing through CRISPR-Cas technology, for which the 2 women scientists recently got Nobel Prize in chemistry, which has offered great opportunities to take advantage of it. When we look at, again, thanks to the efforts of those breeders, that our genetic enhancement in different crops had not become stagnant, but it had been increasing with a reasonably good pace. This paper in Current Science by Yadav and others clearly tells that in case of wheat, rice, maize, pearl millet, sorghum, the scenario had been quite positive, which shows that our breeding efforts have been making steady progress, but maybe we need to bring in more aggressive approach to see that we are able to make better effort in those niche areas where still not much has been done. Like I said, the region of Rajasthan, which is having around 4 to 5 million hectare area for pearl millet, and the Rabi sorghum in Maharashtra and Karnataka, which also has something like about 2 to 3 million hectare area. And that's the area which still has been bypassed by all initiatives which we had been making over the last 4 or 5 decades. No doubt, there are positive sides of research that through harvest and biofortified program, new hybrids and new materials are coming forward, which are much better in their iron, zinc, and other micronutrient contents. And there are many varieties which have been released. We also see that they need to add value, and when we need to add value, then we will have to also improve the quality of those products. That would demand, again, the faster growth and progress of food industry using hybrid varieties with high semolina, amylose, amylopectin ratio we also high protein digestibility, low phytates, high starch, high ethanol fermentation efficiency, and sky is the limit when you look at these the kind of recipes that are available are enormous, and a lot of KVKs now taking benefit of millets. Millets also are being used for diversified uses, even for beer making, and uh, opportunities. And these millets are also good for their fodder value. I think it is just because of that fodder value in the most driest part, they are still being grown, because if crop fails for seed, at least farmers do get fodder for their animals on which they depend to a greater extent. So we will have to think in a strategy for fodder production, also a strategy for dual types. I would rather prefer dual type approach so that seed production doesn't remain a casualty, which is invariably a problem. Luckily, private sector is coming forward with their new hybrids, both for sorghum and for which production. But in the public system, we find that it is a problem currently. So, my last part, partnership with ICAR. Why it is? Because I said Tata's success of green revolution had been, as Dr. Warlock also to tell, and Dr. Swaminathan also many times highlighted. And today's Teachers' Day, we have to remember all these teachers, Dr. A.B. Joshi, Dr. B.R. Murthy, Dr. H.K. Jain, Dr. NGP Rao, and many those stalwarts who helped in producing the best human resource from institutions like IRI, and later from many important state agricultural universities. So what kind of partnership with ICAR? If we have to look for second green revolution around household nutrition security, then we have to look at the germ plan more seriously for improving its nutritional quality. We have to, for that, create facility and work together in a joint initiative for phenotyping and accelerated pre-breeding. We need to also target our efforts on genomics, genome editing, and biofortification, where what is needed and what more can be done. And no doubt, basic work on drought tolerance, I mentioned before, and biotech stresses. Strengthening work on nitrotic gene pools, which very possibly has not been given that much required attention as it needs. And Dr. Wall has been all the time talking about it in case of maize, that you have to lay greater emphasis on heterotic gene pools and diversify your A and B lines to continue getting better gains in future. And our work on natural resource management, the twin pillar which I said around natural resource management and mainly around conservation agriculture. So if we have to go in and help farmer to give them technology to improve productivity, reduce cost on inputs, and that reduced cost on input can be through conservation agriculture. And also we have to see that farmers are able to get linked to the farm market for better income. And partners has helped in the past. Like HHB 67 got improved over the years, and the first version was released before. That's why maybe HHB 67 is still holding its ground. And recently, as mentioned to me by Dr. Rajiv Vashne, HHB 67 improved 2 has also been now evolved, which need to be scaled in terms of its more area coverage and its utility in terms of important useful traits which are all defined here. And we have to also have partnership so that we don't duplicate these facilities, but take advantage of these facilities which have already been built, like the Center of Excellence in Genomics. And as you would see from next slide, it has such a big consortium approach and partnership. We need also consortium approach for our Indian institutions to be linked either with them or to work with the CRISAT and address those issues which are more relevant to our local conditions. In that process, we are happy that genome sequences also have been almost worked out for each of the millets, and others can also be taken care of where it is not done. We would require phenotyping facility. I am told it is still not yet built or being used extensively, as is being done now for wheat at Borlaug Institute for South Asia, Ludhiana, for wheat germplasm. So we need now phenotyping facility, which is very important and can accelerate the breeding process very fast. We have to use multi-locations for advancing generations. Hyderabad itself is a good location for that matter, but others as well to be explored and taken benefit of. And in the process, we have to also go in for basic research relating to drought tolerance. This facility was built for not the mandated crops of otherwise ICAR, but for tomato through AVRDC and help of German government. I am told this kind of facility can be further activated and used for germplasm for those climate stresses which otherwise are needing attention now. Similarly, we have to bridge the yield gap for different crops by looking at different eco region wise and assessing where there is potential and where there is more area, but then what is lacking, which requires attention in future. Finally, there are opportunities. India was rather, I would say, first nation to declare the National Year of Millets in 2018. Now, based on the recommendation of Indian government, UN has agreed to declare International Year of Millets in 2023, which means we have time of about 2 years to demonstrate our research capability and leadership at global level. National mission on millet was also started around nutri-cereals. So we are already calling them nutri-cereals, no more coarse cereals, and they are crops for the future. And it was initiated in 2018. Resources can further be added to it, and more centers could have partnership in this mission program. Maybe there is need for relooking at it, and all said and done, there is MSP for sorghum. For Maldandi, there is separate MSP, though not much. It should be much higher as it is for basmati and for rice otherwise. But for bajra also there is MSP. And when you compare it with wheat and paddy and even maize, the MSP for these crops is relatively much higher. But it's not government. And farmer don't get. Even on my farm, I had pearl millet which I could not sell at the MSP of 2,150 last year. I had to sell it at 1,900 rupees per quintal. So there is need for procurement, and then also there is need for awareness awareness like what we could get awareness for quinoa. Quinoa nobody knew before, though we have been growing it in India to a greater extent and taking full benefit of it in our food as well. But it has now become a craze, public awareness. So we need a public awareness initiative, and hopefully this International Year of Millets and the COVID-19 and earlier effort of National Year of Millet will make a difference. So India, I consider, is truly a happening place for millets in future. So what we need is policy support, MSP to be linked to procurement by states, not only center. States where they are grown, because these are major important crops for the farmers of their own state. Inclusion of millets in midday meal, including millets in public distribution system, and also maybe in the National Food Security Act, where we are distributing rice, wheat, and maize at 3, 2, and 1 rupee per kilo. Millets also included, and premium needed on biofortified varieties, and incentives to be given to farmer producer organization in millet growing districts, and maybe for value addition, there should be exemption for GST so that there is encouragement to the young entrepreneurs. Future strategy would require more allocation of resources. We have been telling even for ICAR, resources should be doubled. Certainly for millets, if not tripled, must be doubled. I have probably argued and made a case for it. A consortium on hybrid millet has to be initiated to plug those all gaps which are otherwise existing, and see that there is a strong public-private partnership right from the beginning to consider them on same platform. And there is opportunity through ICRISAT and through national effort to promote South-South collaboration between India and Africa. And naturally, we have to take care of our genetic resources. As I said before, we must apply GI for Maldanday. Why we should not? I fail to understand this. And finally, we would need a roadmap on millets for at least 2030 to match with the goals of sustainable development, so that whether millets can also play a role to help the nation by 2030. So, to make, I have my dream, gray area green. Only millets can do it. And finally, millets can lead to second green revolution for better health and prosperity of our smallholder farmers, who are a majority, about 80% of them, and awaiting support from the National Agriculture Research System and international organizations. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. It was a wonderful thought process how to take forward the millets. So we are all benefited, sir. 300 plus people today listen to your first NGP Rao Memorial Lecture. And definitely, sir, as you have advised, the strategy we will put in place and take forward the policies around so that the millet promotion could happen the way it has been desired. So thank you very much for your wonderful lecture, sir, and we are all highly benefited. Thank you so much, sir. Now, sir, take it with the permission of chair, we would like to take forward the program to the ultimate point of today's program is recognizing the contributions of people who worked for the last 40 years in sorghum, small millets, and pearl millet. So it is the Lifetime Achievement Award or Dr. in the name of Dr. NGP Rao. So Dr. NGP Rao Memorial Lifetime Achievement Award has been given in this initial year to 3 people for their human contribution in the area of sorghum to Dr. Bhavar Singh Rana, earlier Director, Project Coordinator of Sorghum. Then in small millets to Dr. A. Sitaram, who was the project coordinator and also the coordinator of the National Food Mission earlier, and pearl millet to Dr. Kedarnath Rai. So now I would like to request Dr. Aruna to read about Dr. Bhavar Singh Rana and his contribution. Then we will have the recognitions.
Okay, sir, thank you. Very good morning to all of you. I feel privileged to present the citation of Dr. B.S. Rana. Dr. Banwar Singh Rana was born in Nabinagar, Muzaffarnagar of UP on 5th July 1941. Dr. Rana is a revered plant breeder with outstanding contributions in novel breeding concepts and developing a number of sorghum hybrids and varieties which doubled the sorghum productivity during 1990s. He completed his MSc Agriculture in 1963 and PhD in 1972 from Agra University. His specialization in biometrics, quantitative genetics, multivariate analysis, farmer participatory research, energy crops development, and computer programming greatly benefited the sorghum researchers. He also evaluated world sorghum germplasm collection and developed seed catalog of more than 8,000 entries before joining Sorghum project in 1970. Later, he worked as head IRI Regional Research Station, Hyderabad during 1984 to 87. He also contributed as plant breeder in FAO under UNDP program in Kenya during 1981 to 82. He had opportunities to serve internationally as FAO consultant, plant breeding and seed production specialist in Myanmar, and also as IFAD consultant agriculture and principal investigator of ACIAR and DFID projects. He developed a number of concepts, explored genetics, and developed selection criteria for sorghum improvement. To maximize yield, he optimized the plant type of crosses and hybrids, impact of male and female parents on hybrid yield, type of mating systems and their recombination patterns in segregating generation, yield prediction models, coheritability and genetic advance, enhancing heterosis levels, and genetics of adaptability and stability. He used high gene interaction to develop tall dual-purpose hybrid like CSH13. He has contributed to the genetics of protein quality, genetics of fertility restoration, and utilization of A2 cytoplasm. His pioneering research work in sorghum is published in 150 papers in national and international journals during his 33 years of research career in sorghum in ICAR. His efforts in designing production systems, enhancing host plant resistance, and alternate uses make him the most distinguished sorghum scientist in India. He guided 9 students for MSc and 7 for PhD. He was instrumental in establishing sorghum breeding and agronomic research at Busia of Western Kenya, Center for Rabi Sorghum at Sholapur, off-season facility at Warangal, multi-crop R&D in a private sector company, and Crop Science Center for Energy Crops at NFCI, Hyderabad. He is recipient of prestigious ICAR Vasantarao Naik National Award for the year 1995 in recognition of his outstanding contributions to improve the productivity of dryland agriculture. He is also the elected fellow of the National Academy of Agricultural Sciences, New Delhi. Recognizing his human contribution in improving food and nutrition security in drylands through sorghum improvement, the Society for Millets Research, ICAR, Indian Institute of Millets Research, Rajendra Nagar, Hyderabad, takes pride in awarding Dr. NGP Rao Memorial Lifetime Achievement Award to Dr. Banwar Singh Rana on this day of 5th September 2021. Hearty congratulations, sir, on this achievement.
Thank you, Dr. Aruna. So congratulations to Bhavar Singh Rana sir on behalf of everybody on this platform. Now we will go to citation of Dr. A. Sitaram by Dr. Visharada.
Yeah. Thank you, sir. Am I audible?
Yeah.
Yeah, it is really a great honor to present the credentials of Dr. A. Sitaram. Dr. Annada Sitaram, born on 3rd June 1943 in Harahalli, Kanakpura, Bengaluru, Karnataka. He obtained his bachelor's degree in 1963 from Agricultural College, Bangalore, master's degree in agricultural botany from College of Agriculture, Dharwad in 1965. And he obtained his PhD from ICAR in New Delhi in 1968. He has served at TAAS Bangalore from 1970 to 79 and later in ICAR from 1979 to 2003 as Associate Coordinator Minor Millets and as Project Coordinator Small Millets and Emeritus Scientist of ICAR from 2003 to 2005. He has made notable contributions as plant breeder in the crop improvement of small millets and sunflower. He was intimately associated for more than 2 decades in small millet research and development in the country. A number of improved varieties in various small millets were released under his leadership, benefiting large rural, tribal, and hill farming communities, which were left out of Green Revolution technology. His outstanding contribution was on assembling one of the largest collection of 6 small millet germplasm exceeding 11,000 accessions, for which he is the curator, especially the elect genetic stocks all over the country, thus contributing to the conservation and improvement of India's old and native croplands of considerable nutrition value that are of great relevance to the disadvantaged society. He is well known for his contribution in hybrid research in sunflower in the country and released the first hybrid sunflower BSH1 and the most popular open pollinated variety, modern, in the national level. He has guided 22 PhD and 20 MSc students. He has authored several 15 books, monographs, and published more than 250 research papers in leading research journals. His contributions to the field of crop improvement and agriculture were recognized by conferring R.D. Asna Endowment Award by the ICAR for outstanding research in plant breeding for triennium 1977 to 78. Om Prakash Bhasin Foundation Research Award in 1998, Distinguished Alumni Award UAS 2003, Dr. Harbhajan Singh Memorial Lifetime Achievement Award ISPGR New Delhi 2005 to 2006. He served as chairman of International Small Millet Steering Committee from 1986 to 1993 and leader of Technology Mission of Government of India on Food and Nutritional Security in tribal and hilly areas of the country from 1998 to 2003. He is the elected fellow of National Academy of Agricultural Sciences, New Delhi, honorary fellow, Indian Society of Oilseeds Research, Hyderabad, fellow, Indian Society of Genetics and Plant Breeding, New Delhi, and fellow, Indian Society of Plant Genetic Resources, New Delhi. Recognizing his human contributions in improving food and nutritional security across drylands through small millets improvement, the Society for Millets Research, ICAR, Indian Institute of Millets Research, Rajendra Nagar, Hyderabad, take pride in awarding Dr. NGP Rao Memorial Lifetime Achievement Award to Dr. Annada Sitaram on this day of 5th September 2021. Hearty congratulations to you, sir. The nation boasts you for his achievements.
Yeah, thank you very much, Visharda. So congratulations, Sitaram sir, on behalf of Society for Millet Research, NGP Rao Foundation, ICAR, and also Advanta, who have instituted this award together. So now I would like to request Jinu Jacob to kindly read the citation of Dr. Kedarnath Rai for the award in Pearl Millet Improvement.
Thank you, sir. Good afternoon, everyone. It's my privilege to be reciting the citation for Dr. K.N. Rai. Dr. Kedarnath Rai, born on 1st June 1946, is a former group leader of Pearl Millet Improvement in the Dryland Cereals Program at ICAR, Patancheru, India. He received his master's degree in genetics from the Indian Agricultural Research Institute, New Delhi, and PhD degree in genetics from the University of California at Davis, USA. After a brief period as a rice breeder at Banaras Hindu University, Varanasi, he joined ICAR as a pearl millet breeder in 1977. Until his superannuation, he contributed immensely for pearl millet improvement research at ICAR. During this long innings of about 36 years in pearl millet improvement research, Dr. Rai has made tremendous contributions for improving pearl millet productivity in India and also contributed for better understanding of the genetics, adaptation, and nutritional features of this crop and its implications in genetic improvement. More than 60 pearl millet hybrids marketed in India at any given time are based on the female parents developed by him or included as parentage of improved breeding lines of others, which had been shared with all hybrid breeding programs in India and worldwide. He has developed and disseminated more than 125 male sterile lines and published more than 180 research articles and bulletins, including a classic book on pearl millet breeding that he co-edited with other experienced millet breeders from India and the USA. He has been instrumental in developing a very strong partnership with ICAR, All India Coordinated Pearl Millet Improvement Project, and with private sector through Pearl Millet Hybrid Parents Research Consortium. More recently, he developed and strengthened crop biofortification research activities of Harvest Plus, ICAR, and DBT. His biofortification research efforts have led to a much better understanding of genetics, variability, and hybrid development strategy with respect to high iron pearl millet. As a result, a high iron variety, Thana Shakti, was released in 2013, marking it the first biofortified crop cultivar in public domain released in India. He supervised the dissertation research of 2 master students and 5 PhD students, of which 2 of them were recognized with the Jawaharlal Nehru Award of the ICAR for Best PhD Thesis in Plant Breeding. For all the above efforts and contributions, Dr. Rai has been recognized with various individual and team awards and honors nationally and internationally. The most significant among these include CGIAR Chairman's Excellence in Science Award, CGIAR's King Bedouin Award, Doreen Margaret Marshler Award, Jenna Reddy Venkat Reddy Prize, Seed Association of India Award, and Chaudhary Devi Lal Outstanding AICRP Award of the ICAR. Recognizing these yeoman contributions in improving food and nutritional security across drylands through pearl millet improvement, the Society for Millet Research, ICAR, Indian Institute of Millet Research, Rajendra Nagar, Hyderabad, takes pride in awarding Dr. NGP Rao Memorial Lifetime Achievement Award to Dr. Kedarnath Rai on this day of 5th September 2021. Hearty congratulations, sir.
So thank you, Gino, and congratulations, Kedarnath Rai sir, for this wonderful contribution in pearl millet improvement. We all take pride in recognizing your contributions. So thank you very much, sir. And to the information of all, we have already reached the citation and also 1 lakh rupees cash prize to everyone, to 3 of them, to them personally. And we have also recorded their acceptance speeches, and we will play them first, and then if they want to add anything more, they can add. So Dr. Ilangovan.
लाख रुपए का कैश अवार्ड भी दिया जाए.
Honorable Padma Bhushan Dr. Rajendra Singh Paroda, the visionary leader of agriculture sciences, Dr. Hugh G. Research Director General, and Dr. TAAS Shamaji, ICAR DDG, Dr. Kanopi ji, and distinguished participants. I express my gratitude Dr. NGP Rao Foundation, to Dr. NGP Rao himself, and magnanimity of his family to institute this prestigious award. I also thank you, the selection committee, its chairman and the members, and Dr. Kanopi ji himself to nominate my name for this award. I am grateful to the Dr. NGP Rao leadership and give me the opportunity to work under his guidance for 10 years. This created the very vast history in the sorghum science and development of hybrids and varieties. This was the first impact of the things, but later on when the responsibility came to me to lead the national program, they also created another history. They have developed the hybrid and variety with very high defensive system which could not fail and have increased and doubled the production of the sorghum in the country. The production was so large that the country could not absorb it, and that's why my colleague oriented their research to alternate use to more scientific manners, advanced technology, and resistant to the insect and pests. They have made this project and the country proud that the national program at that time was the best program in the developing world, and it could not be taken over international program and multinational company. I thank you, my colleagues. I'm grateful to Dr. Paroda ji particularly because under his blessing, we have enhanced the capacity of the scientists, institute, infrastructure, and the laboratories to take this advanced work. I thank you, each and everyone. Thank you very much. Jai Hind.
Thank you. Yeah, Dr. Ilangon.
The 1 minute, sir.
Respected Dr. Paroda ji, former Secretary Dave, and Director General ICAR, trustees for the Padma Bhushan Dr. N. Ganga Prasad Rao Foundation, Dr. Vidas Manapi, Director, Indian Institute of Millets Research, Dr. Rajendra Prasad, Vice Chancellor, US, Bangalore, fellow millet scientists and technocrats and friends. I am greatly honored and overwhelmed by the prestigious award bestowed on me. I consider the award as a blessing of our teacher, guide and illustrious mentor, Padma Bhushan, Dr. NGP Rao Garu, one of the most distinguished plant breeders, who is well known also as the father of sorghum hybrids in the country. I owe this recognition to innumerable millets, small millet scientists and colleagues with whom I have had the occasion and the privilege of working and associated for 3.5 decades, and their tireless efforts for promotion and development of these crops, now recognized as nutricerials. My sincere thanks to Dr. NGP Rao Foundation, IIM Hyderabad, and Society for Millets Research, Hyderabad, for honoring me. I express my sincere thanks to Dr. Padma Bhushan, Dr. R.S. Paroda ji, for My personal thanks to Dr. Vilas Palpi, Director IAMR, and Dr. Rajendra Prasad, and Vice Chancellor US Bangalore, and to all Millets scientists, well-wishers, and friends for being with me all through my academic and scientific career. Jai Hind.
Thank you, sir. Yeah, Dr. Ilangon.
1 minute.
It is a matter of great honor that the Millet Society of India and the Selection Committee found me worthy of Dr. NGP Rao Memorial Lifetime Achievement Award. This award is a recognition of the research that I did at ICAR. Throughout my career of 39 years look very long time to me. But it was very short time in a way for me. And the reason is that throughout my work at ICAR, we always used to set the target very high. I was very fortunate on 3 counts. One, that I had a very strong and dedicated team of scientists, colleagues, and support staff. 2, ICAR provided me an excellent platform. And 3, the institution allowed me or gave me free hand to do whatever I wanted to do and in whatever way. I must say that in the life of every scientist, there are people who come and they influence the way things should be done. There could be several, but I would like to name only 3. The first and the foremost is DJ and Jules, who was my first leader of the permanent program, with whom I worked for about 8 years. And from him, I really learned the nuts and bolts of applied plant breeding, especially for millet. The second is that in my early days at ICAR, I came in contact with Dr. NGP Rao. And in one of the conversations, he said, Dr. Rao, for breeders, the product development is the first priority. But one should remember that if you want to make long-term genetic gain, a good amount of strategic research has to be done. And once I heard this one from him, I talked to the people in Sorghum. And what I heard about him was that he was one of the few scientists in India, maybe the only scientist actually, who had excellent balance of strategic research and product development. So product and publication, product development and publication balance was the hallmark of Dr. NGP Rao, and that became a mantra for me actually. 10 years later after that, I went on a sabbatical at Tifton, Georgia in the USA to work in a team led by Dr. Glenn Burton. Dr. Glenn Burton is basically the father of Paroda. In one of the conversations, he told me, Dr. R, I know that ICAR has a lot of emphasis on OPP development. But when we know that the hybrids have 30 to 50% advantage over the open pollinated variety, why so much emphasis on OPV? And I had to tell him that it depends on the leadership actually, but you said, I agree fully with you. And if the opportunity comes, I think that will happen. In the second half of my PV, that opportunity came, and I transformed the entire program from the OPV development to the hybrid development. And I am very proud of it, although there were a lot of challenges in doing that. There were some criticisms also I had, but this was to be done because that was my conviction. The second one was that we knew that the research alone upwards cannot achieve more. We were very good, and we are still very good. Actually, the research is still very good in developing the improved breeding lines and the parental lines of the hybrid. But these had to be channelized actually in a product that farmers grow. That means the hybrids actually. And for that, we needed very strong partners, which we developed in the national program, but particularly with the private seed companies to hybrid balance research consortium. So these are the two things actually that I cherish actually, and I am very happy. I am very happy that after the retirement, I left a very strong program in very capable hands.
Yeah. So thank you, Dr. Ilangovan, and congratulations to all the Lifetime Achievement Awardees, Dr. Bhavan Singh Rana ji, Dr. A. Sitaram ji, and Kedarnath Rai ji, on behalf of Society for Millets Research, and also the NGP Rao Foundation, and Advanta, and Indian Institute of Millets Research, in the presence of Dr. Raj Singh Paroda ji, Dr. Jacqueline Hughes, Dr. T.R. Sharma ji, and host of senior teachers, scientists, and the industry people. We really thank you very much for all the contributions, and thank you very much, sir. So now we will go to the remarks by guests of honor. May I request Dr. Bhupen Dubey, CEO Advanta. He had confirmed the participation. Dr. Bhupen. Yeah, I think he is not there. He had to join from Dubai. He's not there probably, because he called me yesterday that he would be there.
He's not there, sir.
Okay. So we thank Advanta for contributing to the corpus to take forward the lifetime achievement recognitions in the years to come. Dr. Rajendra Prasad, Vice Chancellor, US Bangalore, he acted as the chairman of the nomination committee for this award.
Sir also not there, I think.
Okay. So thank you, sir, and the committee members also. Dr. Arvind Kumar, DDG ICRISAT.
Sir is there, sir.
Arvind Kumar?
Yes, thank you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, please.
Yeah. Okay. Good morning to all of you, and a warm wishes on the eve of the Teachers' Day to all of us, to each one of us. All of us have some teachers who have taught us, by which we have reached here. Respected Padma Bhushan Dr. Raj Paroda ji, Secretary, former Secretary there, and Director General ICAR, Dr. Jacqueline Hughes, Director General ICRISAT, Mrs. NGP Rao and family, and the three awardees, Dr. Bhanar Singh Rana, Dr. Anand Sitaram, Dr. Kedarnath Rai, and officials from the ICR, different centers and different institutions. Last but not least, my friend, Dr. T.R. Sharma, DDG ICR. First of all, heartiest congratulations to the three awardees for their contribution, Dr. Bhanar Singh Rana, Dr. Anand Sitaram, Dr. Kedarnath Rai, and thanks to them for all their contribution for the improvement of the millets. We really feel proud of the contributions that they have provided through the millet research, and which we have responsibility to take it forward. Now coming to the wonderful lecture today that I heard from Padma Bhushan, Dr. Raj Singh Paroda. For me, this was like a roadmap that what we should be doing. A well thought of what our contributions have been in the past and where we should be moving up to 2030. Thank you, Dr. Paroda, for the wonderful lecture and showing us a roadmap. Now, I took some lessons from two of his slides, which I want to bring here very quickly. While we all feel proud of what we have achieved over years in the millet research, and rightly so, which is demonstrated today also by honoring the contribution of the stalwarts in the millet research. But I think we still have a long way to go. We still have a long way to go to work a lot to ensure that millet has its place in the food system that it really deserves. And how we can do it, probably we have to work a lot towards the processing, towards the value development, towards understanding the bioavailability, the market linkages between farmers and industries, policy and price support and procurement, utilizing traits that could have high importance. We do see some problems that millets probably we need, as millet researchers, we need to sort very quickly. And I would mention at least one, which haunts me, is the rancidity in the pearl millet flour. How quickly we can do it. And there are other many traits which are very important, which we all know that these millets have, including the calcium, high calcium in the finger millet. How we can bring sustainable balance between demand and supply. It fluctuates year over year. And also, as Dr. Paroda mentioned, higher income, entrepreneurship, and startup, procurement, storage, supply of millets under the public distribution system. And also to ensure that, evidently how millet become part of the food of the larger population. I don't think that this can become just by keeping the millets in the malls and the shops. It has to go into the heart of each of the consumer that this is needed. So while we celebrated today the success of the research, we have a long way to go. And together, probably on this Teachers' Day, we should pledge once more that we will not leave unless we reach where we have to reach. Last but not least, I really appreciate the effort that IIMR has taken forward, also as a society, for honoring the people who have contributed to the millet research. And on personal level, thanks to Dr. Tonapi for inviting me to attend this function. And once again, heartiest congratulations to 3 awardees. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Arvind Kumar. Thank you so much for your presence and your comments, sir. And now I would like to request Dr. N.H. Rao, son of Dr. NGP Rao, and on behalf of the NGP Rao Foundation and as a trustee, I would like to request him for his remarks. Dr. N.H. Rao.
Yes. You can hear me now?
Yeah, please. You are muted. You are muted, sir. Unmute.
Yeah. You can hear me now, please?
Yes.
Yeah. Respected Chairperson, Dr. Jacqueline Hughes, Co-Chair, Dr. T.R. Sharma, Honorable Chief Guest, Dr. R.S. Paroda, Director IIMR, Dr. Vilas Tonapi, scientists of IIMR, and all colleagues, friends, family members who are a part of this ceremony. First of all, I express my thanks on behalf of the NGP Rao Foundation to Dr. R.S. Paroda for so graciously accepting the invitation to to give the inaugural lecture today. I also congratulate the 3 award winners, Dr. B.S. Rana, Dr. K.N. Rai, and Dr. A. Sitarama, and thank them for so graciously accepting the awards. Next, on behalf of my mother, Srimati Neelam Raju Kamala, all members of our family, and the Dr. NGP Rao Foundation, I wish to thank IIMR and the Society of Millet Research for taking the initiative to honor the memory of my father, late Dr. NGP Rao, the father of hybrid sorghum, which heralded the Green Revolution in rain-fed dryland regions of India. In honoring his memory, we also recall, honor, and pay our tributes to the untiring efforts of scientists and colleagues of the eventful years of 60s and 70s at the All India Coordinated Sorghum Improvement Project, IRI, and the rest of the country. The millions of farmers, the seed industry, which was jump-started actually by the sorghum hybrids, the leadership at ICAR, and the personal interest and initiative of state political leaderships and civic administration of the time in the rain-fed drylands, which made the rain-fed land green revolution possible. 50 years down the line, both perceptions and scientific understanding about sorghum and millets have changed. From being the dominant staple of rain-fed drylands in the 60s and 70s, later to low preferred crops as their areas declined rapidly with shift in food habits, and now to the last decade or so, when they have come to be seen as smart crops for sustaining the planet and smart foods for keeping the human population healthy. Smart crops in the sense of being climate smart, water smart, energy smart, nutrient smart, and for their role in conserving biodiversity. And also are smart foods for human health and nutrition by virtue of their nutritive qualities. So given this recent push, because of this smart crop identification of the sorghum and millets, as can be expected, this recent push has given a huge simmering potential and opportunity for innovation in multiple dimensions in sorghum and millets. We are already seeing a lot of activity to exploit this potential across a wide range of institutions, which include the public research institutions, the corporate sector, in FMCG, as well as in the big tech now, and increasingly in the plethora of agri-tech and food tech startups. And slowly, policy is also beginning to recognize this change, and needed changes may soon come about. My father, Dr. NGP Rao, was in many ways ahead of his times. When he, right from the early years of the Sorghum project, visualized and advocated the multidimensional benefits of sorghum and millets and their indispensable role in sustaining the rural livelihoods in rain-fed drylands. He strived to design the research programs of the Sorghum project in those days in line with this vision. The NGP Rao Foundation has compiled a collection of his research papers on sorghum into an e-book, which uniquely captures the timeline of working towards the realization of this vision. The foundation would like to carry forward this legacy and will be privileged to contribute and add to the recent momentum in research and innovation towards realizing the potential of sorghum and millets. I once again thank Dr. Tonapi for this initiative, congratulate the award winners, and very graciously thank Padma Shri Dr. R.S. Paroda for inaugurating and giving this inaugural first memorial lecture. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Rao, sir. We will take forward this momentum and also plan the things in the future. So thank you very much. And before we come to the last portion of this particular program, may I request Raj Paroda, sir, we would like to add anything before I hand it over to Chairman and Co-Chair, sir. Paroda, sir.
Yeah, not much to say now, except that I would like to join the organizers in congratulating the award winners, and also would like to convey our best wishes to Mrs. Rao, Dr. N.H. Rao, and all family members for having joined today. It's a pleasure. We really feel proud that in the name of Dr. NGP Rao, these initiatives have been taken. I'm sure this foundation would continue doing much more in terms of reaching the end users, in terms of benefits of new innovation in the area of millet research. I would like to thank the organizers personally, to you, Dr. Tonapi, for having asked me to participate. I considered it my privilege, because in the name of Dr. NGP Rao, anything that can be done is not enough. The way he contributed and my association with him all through till his retirement and later had been very, very, intimate and very close. Rarely you get such people, and such in occasions do give a kind of feeling among the youngsters that much can be achieved, and they can be the torch bearers, and certainly the way that he mentored people is amazing. Very silent worker, very unassuming, down to earth, very affectionate, and would like to encourage his colleagues. These are rare qualities which I hope others would like to imbibe. And personally, I am a beneficiary of all that. So it had been a great pleasure participating and joining this event. Thank you very much. And thanks to Jackie Huge and also to Dr. T.R. Sharma and all other organizers for giving me this opportunity.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Now I hand it over to Dr. Jacqueline Hughes and T.R. Sharma, sir.
Thank you very much. Let me start a co-chair, but let me start and then I'll hand over to my co-chair to wrap up. The remarks during this gathering have been so very illuminating, and they clearly highlight the important role of millets and sorghum moving to the International Year of Millets in 2023, particularly around food and nutrition security and ensuring smallholder farmers get a decent income and livelihoods under their adverse conditions. So as we were working towards the UN Food Systems Summit, I kept hearing forgotten crops. And these were the sorghum and millet and many more, and cover the entire spectrum of food and industrial uses. But I kept telling the people in the various workshops that they might be forgotten crops to some, but for others, they're their everyday business. And these crops, to me, make use of the local agricultural biodiversity to provide us with nutritious and sustainable diets. Dr. Paroda mentioned those. They also contribute to diversity and minimize risk in our cropping systems, helping also to mitigate the problems of monoculture that we often see in those big three. So from the NGP Rao awards, the 3 awardees. Congratulations to Dr. Banwar Singh Rana, Dr. Anada Sitaram, and Dr. Kedarnath Rai. It was truly well deserved, and I'm humbled by the amount of work that you've all put into developing these crops. I've also taken into account the comments of the guests of honor, Drs. Kumar and Dr. Rao, because it set the scene and helped point us in the right direction. Dr. Tonapi, thank you for letting me speak at this point, and thank you to IIMR for this wonderful opportunity. I did take a few notes, and forgive me because it's quite difficult to read. I was scribbling too much, but we heard from Dr. Paroda, amongst many other things, the importance of teamwork. We're honoring the breeders generally. And as Dr. Rai said just now, it's always part of a bigger team. And that leads to the success. And what came to my mind was the need for all of us to focus on these product profiles, know what you're breeding for, whom you are breeding for, and then your experience will tell us how to do it. We were hearing about food security and the green revolution, so very important. Now, however, it's nutritional security that's driving us. We heard about biofortified crops from Dr. Paroda. I'd just like to add that we need to make sure that the biofortified components are bioavailable, whether to us, the humans, or to the animals. When we make sure that food is available, it has to be affordable. That's critical. Otherwise, we can have a glut and the people in need can't eat. I was glad that we touched on the environment and making gray areas green. That's definitely our focus. And when we talked about all those recipes and products that were on one of Dr. Paroda's slides, I could only think of IIMR, as well as our own cafeteria, but IIMR has these products which are so on point. The decline in area versus productivity brought to my mind inputs, seed, and other inputs. Listening to Dr. Paroda, I also wanted to thank him for helping us as an international center focus on the needs of India and globally in different areas. And as I tried to summarize in my mind from an international perspective and headquartered in India, the global versus local, what important steps are necessary? Dr. Paroda was very bulleted, good points, which we've taken in, as Arvind Kumar has said. But from what I'm seeing is that we've got to take the discussion with IIMR ourselves and more broadly from the current supply side push to a demand pull. We need to increase yields or breed resistance for biotic and abiotic stresses. Absolutely critical, but it's not enough. Farmers, consumers, and industry have to be factored in as well. And the research priorities of any national agricultural research system and our partners, industry players, research organizations, we've got to engage with the stakeholders to determine the future direction based on the guidance that we receive today. Private industry and government have to work together and invest in the value chain or value web for these cereals, because unlike rice, wheat, and maize, the value chains for these crops is less developed, or I would even say underdeveloped in Africa. So this is where entrepreneurs and startups can have such an important role using technology to leapfrog the constraints that we see in the current chains. That way we'll get the sorghum and millets to be better than quinoa, more accepted, more wanted. And we've got to get our diets and food systems, which lie at the intersection of the challenges of malnutrition, human health, natural resources, and climate change. The food systems are all embedded, and we need to look at all the different aspects if we're going to meet those sustainable development goals. And we heard policy, the policy push in the right direction for resilience, diversity, inclusivity, and nutrition. So my last statement, sorghum and millets, thanks to the directions in which Dr. NGP Rao pointed us and the awardees have pushed us, sorghum and millet can be the future-proof crops for resilient and healthy ecosystems which the planet urgently needs. Dr. Tonapi, thank you for the opportunity, and now passing on to my co-chair. Thank you.
Thank you, madam. Thank you very much. Thank you so much for your time and guidance for this program. Sharma sir.
Thank you, Dr. Tonapi. Thank you, Jacqueline, for summarizing the very difficult talk of Dr. Paroda. Actually, it is always a treat to listen to Dr. Paroda. And today, again, we got that treat at this particular occasion. And the points which he had listed very nicely summarized by Dr. Jacqueline. And I think it's a message for both of us, or maybe all of us who are working in Indian crop systems, and particularly the millets and minor millets and pearl millets. Dr. Paroda has highlighted various gap areas which need to be filled, and also suggested various action points. Before I come to those action points and what we are doing here, I would like to place on a record my sincere thanks to Dr. NGP Rao family, particularly Mrs. NGP Rao, who could join today this particular, and also the awardee, three awardee, Dr. Banwar Singh Rana, Dr. Anand Sitaram, Dr. Kedarnath Rai. Hearty congratulations for this very important and distinguished honor which has been established by Dr. NGP Rao Foundation. And I think it will take the legacy of this great man further in the years to come. We listened a very enthusiastic and very energetic lecture from Dr. Paroda, which was first in a series of Dr. NGP Rao Memorial lecture series. And I think the choice of Dr. Tonapi and the team was very, very relevant, because if you see, Dr. Paroda started his own work on pearl millet or sorghum. So the man who has started his career in sorghum and then leading in national and international agriculture, getting some way forward in these particular crops from his mouth is always a particular, what you call, a lesson to us, which we should try to bridge. And he very nicely pointed out various key points which Dr. Jacqueline has already summarized, but I would like to say that one of the important points which he made on utilization of germplasm resources and in sorghum breeding, not only in sorghum but in other crops also. Sir, let me inform you and the gathering sitting here that when I joined here as Deputy Director General Crop Sciences around a year and a half back, and had detailed discussion with BG Dr. Mahapatra, and we found that in none of the crops except wheat, some of the pulses and rice, pre-breeding is being done. So we made a point and started making programs on directed pre-breeding involving wild species and local rank races of all the crops. And not only that, we made a point that now the next 5 years EFC, there should be a flagship program by all the institutes on pre-breeding activities for various traits. And as I told, it's not a random pre-breeding, but it is a directed pre-breeding for which we have thought. And on similar line, our institute, Indian Institute of Millet Research, has also started working on these lines. Because while sitting on these committees, when you refer to the Central Varietal Release Committee, I also chair these committees and also now varietal identification committees. It was very disappointing to see that most of the lines which our breeders were developing were not surpassing the national and local checks in terms of yield and other traits. And we found a very serious gap. The serious gap in terms of enlarging genetic base of our material, which we are involving in our varietal development program. And we found that again and again, our breeders are utilizing same parental lines to develop crosses. So we made a point that specific parental lines has to be selected during AICRP meetings, and a given task is to be done by a particular center on those lines as far as breeding is concerned. And I'm happy to tell that this year, we made a point that there should be 1 or 2 slides on the progress of pre-breeding materials, and almost all AICRP projects and institutes projects, they showed their commitment and their work on those lines. So rightly pointed out by our speaker, unless we tap the genetic resources and germplasm lines or genes scattered in wild species and land races, we have to accumulate all those genes in our varieties so that we can make some headway in this direction. Sir, you rightly pointed out that there should be some consortium projects on some important topics. And I would like to inform all the gathering sitting here that Dr. Paroda started a consortium project on hybrids, our hybrid crops, which was somehow stopped somewhere in 2004 and 5. But now again, we started and activated this project 3 years back, and there is a consortium research project on hybrids in different crops, including millets and pearl millet, across the institutions. It crossed boundaries, institutional boundaries, and also even different departmental boundaries. Similarly, we started a consortium research project on molecular breeding. And many molecular breeding, you see now 71 molecular, many molecular breeding derived varieties have already been released in many crops, including sorghum, chickpea, maize, rice, wheat, and also oilseeds. Another important project which we have started on consortium research project that is on biofortification. And you rightly pointed out that unless we eliminate nutritional security from this land, it would be we would be failing in our duty as an agricultural scientist. And sir, in this, with the help of biofortification program and also Harvest Plus program, which was ended a few years back, we accumulated all those research efforts and funded from the council side. And that project is running on more than 15 institutions. And 71 biofortified varieties have already been released, which are enriched in zinc and also iron. and as well as protein, higher protein content. So such type of consortia approach are always important, and this biofortification project we are doing with not only with ICAR but also Ministry of Health, National Institute of Nutrition, and also NABI, National Agri-Food Biotechnology Institute, Department of Biotechnology Institute, where we would be studying bioavailability of all these micronutrients, whether these are bioavailable in human subject or not. Similarly, a new program which we are starting now, because this is an era of technology. Unless we have a platform to test our technology, it is very difficult. So from this 5-year plan, we have planned an AICRP on biotech crop with the total outlay of 25 crore, in which equal amount is being committed by Department of Biotechnology, Government of India, to do limited field trials on crops which are on varieties or lines which were developed through transgenics and also genome editing. So this is a very good initiative in which DBT and ICAR has come together. And not only that, various advanced center, at least 5 advanced center on genome editing, we are establishing in the country along with the Department of Biotechnology, Government of India. It would be a co-funding with both the organization. And a new program which we started now in this particular EFC is a network project on emerging diseases and pests. You know, the introduction of fall armyworm in India, and also the damage it has caused, various viruses, diseases, then also locust is also coming, and there was nobody working on these areas. So we thought of starting new program in these areas so that we can work closely with them. As far as this millet is concerned, very rightly pointed out by you, sir, and many areas for thought which we have given. But I would like to tell you that the initiative which our institute and government has taken on in celebrating International Years of Millet 2023, which was declared by UN, more than 16 ministries and departments are working.
Sir, you are muted.
This is this All India International Years of Millet is being celebrated and being monitored at the highest level. Almost every week we have a meeting from PMO, and Cabinet Secretary PMO chairs that particular meeting, and then we have committees and subcommittees. And in this program, ICRISAT is actively participating as a knowledge partner. And as I told you that various ministries and departments are participating in this celebration, and we were told that it should not be less than International Yoga Day, which Mr. Modi, our Honorable Prime Minister, started a few years back. On that scale, it has to be celebrated. And secretary of all these 16 departments, 15, 16 departments, which includes Ministry of Agriculture, Research and Education, Department of Agriculture and Farmers Welfare, Ministry of External Affairs, Department of Food Processing, Department of Commerce, Department of Food and Public Distribution, Department of Women and Child Development, Department of Health and Family Welfare, FSSAI, Department of Rural Development, Department of Tourism, Ministry of Tribal Affairs, Department of Information and Broadcasting, Department of Higher Education, Department of School Education and Literacy, DONIER, then National Informatics Center, NIC, Ministry of Railways, and also Ministry of Civil Aviation. So all these 17 to 18 ministries, they all are participating in the celebration of this International Year of Millet. And we have planned that we would be making our Indian Institute of Millet Research as a international center for millet research and its education. And various programs are being planned by Dr. Tonapi and his team, along with ICAR team, and a nodal persons have been identified. And all these ministries are taking parts in different areas as per their expertise. For example, Ministry of Civil Aviation will be having pamphlet and seat jackets of all the flights, meals, millet meals in their snacks, advertisement and announcements of at airport and aircrafts. This is one of the examples I'm telling you. And similarly, midday meal program ministry has to start, and public distribution will become a part. So in totality, I would like to say that all the guidance which we are getting from our seniors like you and mentors like you, and the help of the government, I'm sure that in coming few years, millet will not remain as a coarse cereal or a food for poor, but it would be a very important diet, part of diet of Indian system and international. Sir, it was very heartening to note then when Secretary of Food in this particular meeting, when I was also attending this meeting, he told very clearly that millet is either utilized by the poor people, those who are growing it, or the high people of higher strata, because it is very expensive. So we have to target the mid-income group of Indian population who can have purchasing power to buy these products which are coming out of millets. So therefore, we have to make millet as a part and parcel of our ongoing program. And at this particular occasion, I would like to say to my scientist colleague that it's a very important day today when we are meeting to celebrate the great NGP Rao Memorial Lecture Series and also under the aegis of what you call Society for Millet Research. We should not have some sort of complacency, which Dr. Paroda also emphasized, because we have achieved a lot. Dr. Tonapi told that we, in spite of the fact that we are, the area is reducing, around 60% area has reduced, but our yield is going up because of productivity. So we should not have complacency on our past achievement, but we should look for future challenges very intelligently, and we should prepare our programs to develop high-yielding varieties and hybrids resistant to global climate change, short duration with increased micronutrients and protein content, varieties amenable to mechanical harvesting or hybrid amenable to mechanical harvesting. Hence, we should speed up the whole process of fast varietal development program by using genomic assisted breeding, transgenics, and genome editing. We should also utilize the speed breeding and high throughput phenotyping platform to hasten the process of varietal development program, which otherwise takes 6 to 7 years. But if we use speed breeding platform, we can advance generation, we can take 2 to 3 or 3 to 4 generation depending upon crop in a year. So this is very, very important to take lessons from Dr. Paroda's lectures. And I would go further that we need to train human resource in new areas, because it's very difficult to now utilize the data which has generated from decoding of genomes, environmental data, or maybe soil data. So to accumulate all these types of data, we need experts in the areas of big data analysis or big data analytics. We need to use artificial intelligence and also Internet of Things to manage our crops, which is now not far away. And our new breed of scientists, they are very receptive to these new technologies. And I emphasize here that we have to train breed of scientists in these areas so that in future our breeding should be technology driven along with trade, which is very important for the welfare of the society and for the science. So with these few words, I would like to again thank Dr. Paroda for his very thoughtful action points and also guidance which he has given. We have made a note of all those points. And sir, not only this, we always talk off and on, and you are always worried about the Indian plant breeding programs, which we are equally worried, our DZ and myself, and we started pushing our breeders to go beyond what they are doing, and let us use all available approaches, latest approaches available in our hand to sharpen, to speed up, and to what you call scale up our whole breeding program. And value addition is very, very important. And I would like to request Dr. Tonapi to kindly invite Dr. Paroda personally at his institute so that he could see the type of work which our FPOs and also incubation center is doing. More than 150 products and linking with family, these companies. So personally, sir, if you see those products and then the area which we are designated and inaugurated by Honorable Minister, this bioincubation center at Indian Institute of Millet Research, it is a state-of-the-art facility which we have developed there. And I am sure that with more emphasis and with more money coming with the initiative of celebration of this International Year of Millet, along with our international partner ICAR, I am sure that we will be meeting all the targets, and we should always be coming to your expectations. So thank you very much, Dr. Tonapi. Thank you, Jacqueline, for giving me opportunity, and thank you all for giving me this opportunity to be here in this very important occasion of NGP Memorial Lecture Series. Thank you. Jai Hind.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much for your remarks and also the way forward, taking forward from the point Dr. Paroda sir's lecture till Dr. Sharma's remarks. So now we are coming to the last part of this very important program, NGP Rao Memorial Lecture and also NGP Rao Lifetime Achievement Award Ceremony. We are going for the vote of thanks to Dr. Hari Prasanna.
Yeah. Yes, sir. Thank you. Respected chairperson, co-chair, chief guest, awardees, guests of honor, and all the dignitaries who have participated on this virtual ceremony. After an impressive memorial lecture and award ceremony and the very grand event, I take this opportunity to propose the vote of thanks on behalf of Society for Millet Research and Indian Institute of Millet Research. First, we place on record our sincere thanks and profound gratitude to the chairperson of today's function, Dr. Jacqueline Hughes, DG CRISAT, who readily accepted our invitation and agreed to preside over the ceremony and spent more than half day with us in spite of being a Sunday. So that shows how the CRISAT values Dr. Rao's contribution to hybrid sorghum research and the real concern of CRISAT towards the sorghum and millets community and the smallholder farmers of dryland and the zeal to work for them. Thank you, madam, for highlighting the role of these so-called forgotten crops in local food systems and the need for diet diversification as a prerequisite for ensuring nutrition security and need for strengthening the value chain system in these crops. Thank you very much, madam, for gracing this occasion and sharing your valuable views and providing suggestions for future research. Thank you. It is a proud privilege of society to have Padma Bhushan Dr. Raj Paroda as the chief guest for the award ceremony and the first Dr. NGP Rao Memorial Lecture. He readily agreed to our request for delivering the lecture on future of sorghum and millets, which is a daunting task keeping in mind the challenges these crops face. Thank you very much, sir, for sparing your valuable time, giving your valuable and impactful insights, optimistic perspectives and the directions, and for listing the opportunities and policy support required for future of these crops and future strategy for making the gray areas green. I'm sure the millets fraternity has greatly benefited by your thoughtful lecture and got inspired to gear up further to serve the cause of millets. Thank you very much, sir. Thanks are also due for dedication of IAMR crop work facility as NGP Rao Crop Improvement Center and conferment of Lifetime Achievement Awards on the 3 awardees. Thank you very much, sir. We thank Dr. T.R. Sharma, DDG Crop Science, ICAR, and the co-chair of the session for sharing his insights and concerns for the millets and the action needed towards millets research, starting with the germplasm, pre-breeding, and need for bridging the yield gaps in the present interventions by ICAR, and also highlighting the programs in the run-up for International Year of Millet. Thank you very much, sir, for your valuable guidance, and we are sure we will be taking further your aspirations and ambitions. Thank you for being part of this ceremony and giving your valuable sessions and constructive guidance. The society thanks the awardees, Dr. B.S. Rana, Dr. A. Sitaram, and Dr. K. N. Rai for readily accepting our invitation and making it convenient to attend the virtual ceremony. We also thank each one of them for sharing their views and future directions for the millets improvement and research in the country. We will be in touch with them for all future guidance. Thank you very much. Our special thanks to the guest of honor, Dr. Arvind Kumar, DDG CRISAT, for participating in this ceremony and sharing his ideas and views for millets, the research priorities, and the policy push required for these crops. Thank you very much, sir. We profusely thank Dr. N.H. Rao, Trustee, NGP Rao Foundation, Hyderabad, for his active participation and support in instituting this award and lecture ceremony, and showering the good wishes to the awardees and society, and highlighting the role of millets in the present food system, the research efforts, and the renewed policy interests required. So the generous contribution by the foundation towards the award is gratefully acknowledged by the society herewith. We also extend our sincere thanks to the members of Dr. NGP Rao's family who have joined us for this function. We thank Dr. Bhupen Dubey, CEO of Advanta, unfortunately who could not join today, who has sent his good wishes to today's program. In fact, we were fortunate to have him here at IAMR a few days back and interact with his team on the sorghum and millet research. Thanks for the generous contribution also to the society by the Advanta for the Dr. NGP Rao Memorial Lifetime Achievement Award. Thanks, Dr. Dubey. Thanks are also due to Dr. Rajendra Prasad, Honorable Vice Chancellor of US Bangalore, who again could not join us today, but he chaired the committee and nominated the names for this prestigious award. Thank you very much, sir, for your valuable contribution to the society's endeavor. I take this opportunity to thank other dignitaries who joined us today. I could see stalwarts, Professor R.B. Singh, Dr. Bagmal, Dr. S.K. Vassal, and many former Vice Chancellors, DDGs and ADGs from ICAR headquarters, directors from various ICAR institutes, project coordinator Pearl Millet, then former directors, former project coordinators, retired scientists from ACRP centers, from voluntary centers, many scientists from other ICAR institutes, ICRISAT, and other CG systems, and private sector, my own colleagues from IAMR, and everyone who joined this online platform and made this event a grand show. At a point, we had nearly 300 members on this platform. So the society is grateful to each one of you for making it convenient, though it is Sunday, to join this program. We thank Dr. Trilochan Mahapatra, Secretary DARE and DG ICR, for his consent and support for this ceremony. Unfortunately, he could not join us due to other prior commitments at IRA today, because Teachers' Day is being celebrated on a big way in IRA every year. Finally, I wish to thank the office bearers of the society for millet research, who are directly or indirectly associated with today's function, and especially Dr. Vilas Tonapi, the General Secretary and Director of IAMR, who is the guiding spirit behind this endeavor and always leads from the front. So thank you, sir, for your motivation and trust and the aptitude to take everyone together on board. Thank you very much, sir. Finally, once again, I thank each one of you from bottom of my heart for making this event a grand success. So thank you very much once again. Eat millets and stay healthy. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Thank you, everybody. And we will meet on the next occasion. Thanks for your time. I think almost, sir, 2.5 hours we spent for this particular occasion. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Dr. Tonapi.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you. Heartiest congratulations to all the awardees.